Hey, what's up? Zach here, and today I have the all-new Air Jordan 37, and here's all the pros and cons you need to know about them. Now the Jordan 37 is quite the departure specifically from the 35s and 36s. You can see it's quite a different design, and they really incorporated a lot of Jordan Brand's newer technology into the 37 in some pretty unique and interesting ways. There are going to be some things you're going to like about the 36s and 35s more than the 37s, but the 37s definitely have some key upgrades in them, specifically in the uppers. Now the most visually obvious thing on the 37 uppers is that exoskeleton of their Leno weave upper. Now looking at this particular Leno weave upper under magnification, it is a little bit different than previous Leno weaves. It resembles, at least to me, more like Nike jump wire, because it is kind of that melted TPU on both strands, both the warp and the weft, but also it kind of has a little bit of an irregular basket weaving in there. So there is a lot of forgiveness in play in these uppers, but because it is all one unit or one exoskeleton, it definitely still retains a lot of strength, and even when you first put them on, you can tell the uppers definitely need a little bit of break-in, but once they do break in, they really move and flow with your foot really nice, and in a way that you can only get with an upper like this, and also because it is a woven upper, it breathes exceptionally well. But the most important performance aspect of the upper, even more so than the more visually stunning kind of exoskeleton, is what's underneath of that, because this is a true three-layer upper, and it's almost in kind of an encapsulated type design. And what that means is you have the one exoskeleton wrapping around with the Leno weave, then you have the second layer, which is the ankle lockdown with these pads underneath of it, but then you also have the third layer, which is this really high-backed heel counter. And so when you tie them all down, it compartmentalizes each part of the upper, because each section of the upper is overlapping in different parts, so it creates like a big vacuum seal kind of capsule around your foot. Now, like I said, that does take a little bit longer to break in, over at least a few hours, if not a day or two, but once it does, it gives you a really nice kind of suck down, locked in fit. And you can tell Jordan Brand was thinking about that because of all the padding here in the ankle collar. They do give you a little bit more of a premium shoelace with a little bit more grit in it, so it does tie down better, because these uppers do have a ton of memory. When I was first lacing them down, it was really hard to get them tight. It definitely took a few times playing in them for them to really kind of meld to my foot, but once they did, those really nice kind of strong laces with that reinforced lace line going all the way down there just gave me an outstanding glove-like fit around my foot. It just took a little bit of time to get there. And on the upper durability test, the Dremel 10-second Highest Grit Sandpaper, this toe cap guard, actually it goes all the way around the shoe, but this toe cap guard is basically just this double-stitched layer of leather up here, and it is pretty soft to touch. However, the Dremel barely scuffed it, so even though it is a softer material, still pretty darn durable, even to dragging on an outdoor court. So I would say once that sheen kind of wears off, or the kind of that coating they put on there wears off, you might get a little bit more damage. However, for something that's a little more of a premium material around here, still holds up pretty well. And moving on to the midsole teardown, this is where Jordan Brand was really throwing a lot at us. Number one, you have Formula 23 just in the heel. That's the red foam here, and that's what's encapsulated here in the TPU. A lot like the Jordan Luca 1, because that is injected very soft, kind of elastic phylon. You do have regular phylon here in the midfoot. However, the more interesting part of it is that because this is a carbon fiber shank on the bottom and it is bottom loaded, they actually added a little gap here, almost like the Eclipse plate in the 36, but it's just a gap made completely of foam, and that's to allow your arch to give a little bit more forgiveness on that carbon fiber, because remember, carbon fiber is pretty unforgiving and it can lead to a little bit of irritation. And I noticed when I was playing in them, I really didn't have any problems with that carbon fiber plate. I did notice that the arch was pretty stout, however, no issues. Now on the forefoot, of course, double stack Zoom Air, one pretty big metatarsal landing pad, and then just a standard Zoom Air unit under that. And it is pretty forgiving on most surfaces, but the thing that I noticed most in the midsole was just kind of how rock solid it was. It wasn't a super plush midsole, it was more of a solid supportive feel, not so much that plush feel. And if you take all that tech to the jump height test, 40.5 centimeters of jump height. I would have thought I'd get a little bit more jump height when I was in these. However, because the carbon fiber shank is a little bit short and it is bottom loaded, it's not going to give you as much rebound effect as something maybe right under your arch. And because, you know, it's just not connecting a lot of material, it's not connecting the Zoom Air units to anything, you're not really loading potential energy from there. So still a very good jump height. And these shoes can give you a decent launch, just not the absolute most elite shoe we've seen this year. But definitely the biggest surprise of the Jordan 30 37 is the Outsole tread. When I first took them out of the box and I was just looking at them online, they kind of reminded me of the Jordan Why Not 0.5 and those sort of traction issues that I had with them earlier. However, really no issues with traction whatsoever on these. These actually had a really nice traction profile, especially on indoor courts, which I'll get to in a minute. But it is more of this kind of irregular, almost topographical map type pattern, bunch of different colors of rubber in here. It is almost in sort of a flowing, almost like an ocean ripple type pattern in there, and it does grab exceptionally well going front to back and side to side. Now on the Outsole durability test, the Dremel 10 seconds highest grit sandpaper, not even a millimeter of damage on the red, white, orange, green, purple, or white rubber. Now this is the XDR version. However, on the regular or standard version of these shoes, typically if it's not a millimeter of damage on the XDR, it's about a millimeter or just over a millimeter of damage on that standard rubber. Now if you look at the durometer of this rubber or test of hardness, I actually did all the different pieces of rubber, and I gotta look at my notes here. 21.5 on the white, 17 on the red, 22 on the green, 18.5 on the orange, and 20.5 average on that little purple Jumpman back here. So still very hard rubber compound. Like I said, this is the XDR version. If you're looking for something for a little more durability, I'd say go with the XDR. If you want something a little more tacky, then go with the standard version. And even with these being the harder, a little bit less tacky version of the rubber, still got 14.74 seconds on the Shuttle test. These shoes are just very aerodynamic, and when you're on the balls of your foot, that double stack Zoom Air does give you a nice little spring. Plus the shoe is just so solid underfoot that you really have really decent footing even on a slick outdoor court. So even though at times these don't feel like the bounciest shoe out there, they definitely can give you a decent launch, especially off cornering. And in terms of fit of the Jordan 37, also pleasantly surprised. These are a little bit more forgiving than the 36, at least for me. Now, like I said, this is the XDR version, so it is just a little bit wider. However, just the shape of the forefoot, a little bit more of a hot dog bun type shape like the Luka 1. So it is going to accommodate a little bit more foot types. So I'd say if you are a narrow medium, just go true to size, that's fine. If you are a 2E, I would just go up a half size, and I think you can break these in a little bit over time to give you a nice one-to-one fit. So I'd say if you have a really bad bunion or Taylor's bunion, get ready for an extended break-in. However, just a standard wide foot for a Jordan brand product, because they don't taper as hard, just not as bad as some others. And if you are somebody with ball of foot pain, because it is double stack Zoom Air, a little more forgiving, and because that shank is pretty broad here in the arch, they are going to give a little bit better arch support. So if you are somebody with flat foot pain, these are going to be a little bit better than some other shoes, especially combined with an orthotic. But getting into the playability of the 37s, this is where things almost kind of got a little bit weird. I started with these on an outdoor court, and to be honest, they felt really dull. I didn't really get a lot of like jump force type feel. I didn't get a really springy feel. They were pretty nimble for kind of like a big player, like a big center type shoe, but really nothing all that special, nothing out of the ordinary. And that was a little surprising because I thought these were really going to kind of come alive on an outdoor court with the Zoom Air and the carbon fiber. However, later that week, I put them on an indoor court, and a completely different shoe. These things are meant for an indoor court. They are super lively on the hardwood because they are such a solid build type shoe. The more elasticity, or the more forgiveness, I should say, of an indoor court versus asphalt or concrete really complements the 37 well, more than the 36 or the 35s. So when I was on indoor courts, not only did they give me a really nice plush and springy feel, I could feel the Zoom Air better. The carbon fiber really gave me a nice spring on that hardwood. Really felt nimble on foot. I kind of could get a little bit more creative because the lockdown was so good. So in terms of an indoor shoe, these are one of the best of the year by far. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe the shoe just needed breaking in. So let me take them back out to the outdoor courts. Same thing. Kind of dull, just not bad by any means, just, you know, kind of run-of-the-mill standard type basketball shoe, a little more of a high top type feel. And so I think if you're looking for a shoe for an indoor court, if you're a center and want really nimble play on indoor hardwood courts, I'm not sure it gets much better than the Jordan 37, especially pivoting on the forefoot and everything. These were just tremendous under the rim. I thought these were just one of the best of the year on indoor hardwood. And if you're somebody more of a perimeter player and you are looking looking to get really shifty with your footwork, because of the lockdown in these and because they are kind of so breezy and they do give such a nice spring in the forefoot on hardwood, I think these are tremendous even for a perimeter player, someone that is more of a ground assault type player or someone trying to get up over somebody's head on the perimeter. It's just, if you're taking these on an outdoor court, I would just say get ready for a little bit of a performance loss. They're still comfortable and they still get the job done, but they're definitely meant as an indoor hardwood shoe. And for that, like I said, one of the best of the year. And to be honest, I kind of like that profile of these because the upper is a little more forgiving than the 35s and 36s, so they felt more comfortable up there. But the underside, the midsole, was a lot more solid than a lot of other shoes we've seen this year with that much forgiveness in the uppers. So it does kind of fit a narrow niche in the basketball market that I really like, especially for indoor play. So if you are looking for something for a really stout, supportive, solid midsole, but something a little more forgiving for the top part of your foot, a little more breathable, and just a little more expandable and just able to break in better, these definitely are a great buy. But of course, I'd love to know your thoughts. Are you looking to pick up the Jordan 37 or are you going for old colorways of the 36 and 35s? Let me know down below. And if you want to see the other brand new Jordan brand shoe that has just come out, that's a lot of the word brand, the Jordan Luka 1, make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you in the next video.